Commander Kim sat in his chair at the space station, drinking his morning coffee. The room was quiet, except for the soft hum of computers. Outside the big windows, Earth looked peaceful with its blue oceans and white clouds. Kim had been working at the Deep Space Listening Post for 5 years, but he had never heard anything like the signal that came through 3 days ago. Officer Park ran into the room, her face excited. "Commander Kim, the signal is getting stronger. You need to see this right now." Kim followed her to the main computer room, where Officer Lee and Dr. Han were staring at screens full of numbers and strange patterns. The signal looked like waves dancing on the screen, but these waves were different from anything they had seen before. "What are we looking at?" Kim asked, setting down his coffee cup. "It's a message from space," Park said, pointing at the screen. "But not just any message. Look at this part here." She touched the screen where the waves made a special pattern. "These are math numbers that every smart race in the universe would know, and this part here means help in the universal language." Dr. Han looked worried. "Commander, this signal traveled very far to reach us. It came from a star system 47 light-years away. Someone out there is in big trouble and asking for help." Kim felt his heart beat faster. In all his years of listening to space, they had never received a real message from aliens. Most scientists thought it would never happen, but here it was, right in front of them. "Can you tell me more about who sent this?" Kim asked. Lee typed on his computer, and new information appeared on the screen. The signal contains biological data about the senders. They are called Kith. From what we can understand, they look like big cats that walk on 2 legs. They are peaceful and smart, but something terrible is happening to them. "What kind of terrible?" Kim asked. Han pulled up more data. The message talks about something called devourers. These are not natural creatures. They are part machine, part living thing. They eat entire planets and everything on them. The Cathara are fighting for their lives. Park's face went pale. "Commander, look at this timeline data. The Devourers have already destroyed 17 worlds in that area of space. The Cathara are down to their last planet, maybe their last city." Kim walked to the big window and looked out at Earth. Somewhere far away in the dark of space, cat people were dying and had sent out one last cry for help. Most races would probably ignore such a weak signal, if they even heard it at all. But humans had always been good at listening. "How long would it take our fastest ships to get there?" Kim asked. Lee did quick math on his computer. "With our best hyperspace drives, about 3 weeks. But Commander, we don't know anything about these devourers. They might be too strong for us." Dr. Han shook her head. "From the data in the signal, the devourers have never fought humans before. They are used to fighting peaceful races who only defend themselves. They don't know what we are capable of." Kim thought about this. Humans had always been different from other animals on Earth. When something threatened their family or friends, humans became incredibly dangerous. They worked together like no other species could, and when they decided to fight, they fought to win completely. "Sir," Park said quietly, "the signal is getting weaker. I think their power source is running out. This might be their last transmission." Kim closed his eyes and thought about the scared cat people hiding in their last safe place. Watching monsters destroy everything they loved, they had sent their cry for help into the empty darkness of space, hoping someone would hear and care enough to come. "Contact Admiral Yoon at Earth Defense Command," Kim ordered. "Tell her we have a situation that requires immediate military response. Give me a direct line to the President too." "Sir, are you sure about this?" Lee asked. "This would be the biggest military operation in human history. We're talking about traveling across the galaxy to fight unknown enemies, to save aliens we've never met." Kim looked at his team. These were good people who had spent their careers listening to the stars, hoping to find other life in the universe. Now they had found it, and it was crying for help. That's exactly what we're going to do, Kim said firmly. Send the signal to every military base, every spaceport, every colony. Tell them peaceful aliens are dying and have asked us for help. See how fast humans can move when innocent people need saving. Park smiled and started typing rapidly on her computer. Within minutes, the message was racing across Earth's communication networks. Kim knew that once humans heard about the Cathera, nothing would stop them from helping. Outside the window, Earth continued its slow spin through space. But soon, the largest fleet in human history would leave this peaceful world and travel across the galaxy like a storm, answering a whisper in the dark. Captain Lee stood on the bridge of the battleship Souls Thunder and watched something that had never happened before in human history. All around Earth, hundreds of spaceships were gathering like storm clouds before a hurricane. Big military ships, small fast fighters, cargo ships full of supplies, and even civilian ships with regular people who wanted to help. Sir, we now have 212 ships ready to go, reported Colonel Cho, reading numbers from his tablet. 60,000 soldiers, 15,000 engineers, 8,000 doctors and nurses. But here's the surprising part, we have 40,000 civilians who volunteered to come with us. Lee raised his eyebrows. Civilians? What kind of civilians want to fly across the galaxy into a war zone? All kinds, sir. Teachers who want to help alien children learn after the war. Farmers who know how to grow food on damaged planets. Construction workers who can rebuild cities. Even artists and musicians who think the aliens will need beauty in their lives after all the fighting. Lee smiled. This was so very human. When other people were in trouble, humans didn't just send soldiers. They sent everyone who could help make life better. In the science section of the fleet, Dr. Han worked day and night with her team to learn everything they could about the enemy. The Cathera had sent lots of information in their signal, but most of it was hard to understand. The Devourers are not like anything we know, Han explained to her assistant, Dr. Kim. They start as machines, but then they eat living things and become part machine, part alive. When they take over a planet, they learn everything the people knew and become smarter. How many planets have they destroyed? Kim asked. 17. That we know of. Each time they win, they get stronger and harder to beat. The Cathara fought them for 3 years before asking for help. These aliens are tough fighters, but they're not soldiers like we are. Han pulled up pictures on her computer, screen showing what the Devourers looked like. They were big, dark creatures, with metal parts sticking out of their bodies. Some had wings, some had many legs, some looked like giant spiders made of metal and meat. The scary part is how they think, Han continued. They're all connected in one big mind. When one Devourer learns something, they all learn it instantly. They've been winning because they can change their plans faster than their enemies. But they've never fought humans, Kim said. Exactly. They don't know that humans can change plans even faster. And they definitely don't know what happens when humans get angry about innocent people being hurt. Meanwhile, on a transport ship called Hope's Journey, civilian volunteer Park Min packed her teaching supplies. She was a school teacher from Seoul who had never been off Earth before. But when she heard about alien children who needed help, she knew she had to go. Are you scared? Asked her friend Song Yuna, who was also a teacher. Yes, but also excited, Min replied. We're going to be the first humans to teach alien children. We're going to help them rebuild their schools and learn to be happy again after the war. In another part of the ship, Farmer Choi Day checked his boxes of seeds and farming tools. I've been growing food my whole life, he told his wife over video call. These alien people will be hungry and their farms will be destroyed. Someone needs to help them grow food again. Back on the command ship, Admiral Yoon looked at reports from all over the fleet. The speed at which humans had organized. This rescue mission amazed even her. Just 1 week ago, most people on Earth didn't know aliens existed. Now they were sending the biggest space fleet ever built to save them. "Admiral, we're getting more volunteer ships every hour," reported Captain Jung. "The Mars colonies are sending their entire defense fleet. The moon bases are emptying their supply warehouses for us. Everyone wants to help." "What about the other space nations?" Yoon asked. "The European Space Union is sending medical ships. The African Federation is contributing their fastest attack ships. The American Space Force has given us their newest weapons. Everyone agrees this is more important than Earth politics." Yoon nodded. Humans were strange creatures. They fought each other over small things, but when real danger threatened innocent people, they came together like one big family. On the planet Valthara, far across the galaxy, Elder Valandra sat in the last safe bunker with the remaining Kith. Their beautiful cities were gone. Their green forests were gray ash. Their crystal towers lay broken on the ground. "The signal has been sent for 1 week now," said young Cathera scientist Morden. "No one has answered. Maybe no other race can hear us. Maybe no one cares about strangers." Valandra looked at her people, scared, hungry, and losing hope. The Devourers would break through their last defenses soon. But something inside her still believed that somewhere in the dark between stars, someone good was listening. She could not imagine that at that very moment, 200 human ships were preparing to jump through hyperspace, carrying not just soldiers, but teachers, farmers, doctors, and artists, an entire civilization coming to help strangers they had never met. The storm was gathering, and soon it would cross the galaxy like thunder. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace near Valthara, like a thunderclap in the silence of space. Admiral Yoon stood on the bridge of her flagship, looking at the alien world through the big viewing screen. What she saw made her heart hurt with anger. The planet that should have been green and beautiful was mostly black and gray. Smoke rose from burning cities. Dark clouds of enemy ships moved across the sky like hungry insects. In the middle of all this destruction, one small area still glowed with soft lights. The last Cathara city, surrounded by millions of devourer creatures. "Communications Officer Park, open a channel to the planet," Admiral Yoon ordered. "Use the translation program we built from their signal." Officer Park worked quickly at her computer. "Channel open, Admiral. We're broadcasting on all frequencies the Cathara use." Yoon took a deep breath. This would be the first time a human had ever spoken to an alien race. "People of Valthara, this is Admiral Yoon of the Human Defense Fleet. We received your call for help. We have come from Earth to assist you. You are not alone anymore." Down in the underground bunkers of the last Cathara city, Elder Valandra was checking the defense systems when the voice came through their speakers. At first, she thought she was hearing things. The voice was speaking their language, but it sounded different, stronger, and more confident than any Cathara voice. "Did you hear that?" young scientist Morden asked, his cat-like ears standing up straight. "Someone answered us. Someone came." Valandra's claws shook as she activated the communication system. "Unknown ships. This is Elder Valandra of the Cathara. Are you really here to help us? We have been fighting alone for so long." "We are here, Elder Valandra," came Admiral Yoon's gentle voice. "We have brought soldiers, doctors, engineers, and supplies. But first, we need to know everything. You can tell us about these devourers. How do they fight? What are their weaknesses?" In the Cathara Command Center, Valandra quickly gathered her military leaders. For the first time in months, she felt hope growing in her chest. These humans had traveled across the galaxy just because the Cathara had asked for help. What kind of people did that for strangers? "The Devourers are smart," Valandra explained to the human fleet. "They learn from every battle. They change their plans very quickly. They are strongest when they work together as one big group." On the human flagship, Major Kang listened carefully to the alien's words while his team of engineers studied enemy movements through their telescopes. Admiral, I'm seeing something interesting. The Devourers are all connected somehow. When one group moves, all the others move in the same pattern. But that also means if we can confuse their communication, they might not work well together. Lieutenant Song was working at the weapons control station. Admiral, I've been watching their attack patterns. They're used to fighting enemies who only defend themselves. They don't know how to handle someone who attacks back aggressively. Admiral Yoon smiled. The Devourers had made one big mistake. They had never fought humans before. They didn't understand that humans became most dangerous when they were protecting innocent people. Elderveandra, Admiral Yoon said into the communication system. We're going to need your warriors to help us. Can your people fight alongside humans? Our soldiers are tired and scared, Valandra replied honestly. But if you can give us hope, we will fight harder than we ever have before. Consider hope delivered, Yoon said firmly. We didn't come here to save you and then leave. We came here to destroy every devourer in your system and make sure they never threaten anyone again. Down on the planet, young Cathara warrior Jintar looked up at the sky, where hundreds of new ships were taking positions around their world. Elder, who are these humans? Why would they travel so far to help people they don't know? Valandra thought about this question. In all their history, the Cathara had never heard of any race doing something so generous for strangers. I think, Gintar, we are about to learn what it means when a race of warriors decides to protect instead of conquer. The Devourers had noticed the new ships too. Their hive mind was analyzing the human fleet, trying to understand what these new creatures wanted. The Devourers had eaten 17 civilizations, and every time, the pattern was the same. The prey species would call for help. Other prey species would either ignore them or send small, scared rescue groups that the Devourers could easily destroy. But this was different. These humans had sent a massive war fleet. Their ships were arranged in attack formations, not defensive ones. The Devourer's collective mind felt something it had never experienced. Before uncertainty, Captain Lim was preparing his Marines for the coming battle. Listen up, he told his soldiers. Down there are innocent people who have been fighting monsters for 3 years. They sent one message asking for help, and we came running. That's what humans do. We protect people who can't protect themselves. The Marines checked their weapons and armor. Each one of them had volunteered for this mission. They knew they might not come home, but they also knew that somewhere in the universe, peaceful cat people would be safe because humans had decided to stand between them and the monsters. Thunder was gathering in the sky above Vale Thera, and soon the lightning would strike. The attack began when Vale Thera's sun was rising. Admiral Yoon gave the order, and suddenly the dark sky above the planet lit up like a second sun. Hundreds of human ships fired their biggest weapons at the same time, sending bright beams of energy down toward the Devourer forces surrounding the last Cathara city. Captain Lim sat in his drop pod with 40 other Marines, feeling the ship shake as it prepared to launch them toward the planet. Remember, he told his soldiers over the radio, we're not just fighting monsters today, we're saving people who asked us for help. Make every shot count. The drop pods shot out of the human ships like metal rain, streaking through the atmosphere, with trails of fire behind them. Inside his pod, Lim watched through a small window as the ground rushed up to meet them. He could see devourer creatures running in all directions, confused by the attack from above. 30 seconds to landing, announced the pod's computer. Lim gripped his rifle and prepared for battle, down in the Cathara bunkers. Elder Valandra watched the human attack through her security cameras. She had never seen anything like it. The humans weren't just defending, they were attacking with a fury that took her breath away. Look at how they fight, said young Jintar, staring at the screen. They work together like they've been practicing this battle their whole lives. The drop pods hit the ground hard, and immediately the doors burst open. Captain Lim rolled out, with his rifle ready, scanning for enemies. All around him, Other Marines were doing the same thing, spreading out, taking cover, setting up defensive positions, exactly like they had trained to do thousands of times. Beachhead, Alpha established, Lim reported into his radio. Enemy forces are pulling back. They seem confused by our tactics. The Devourers were indeed confused. For 3 years, they had been fighting Cathara, who stayed in their cities, and tried to protect themselves. But these humans were different. They jumped out of the sky and immediately started attacking, moving forward instead of hiding. Sergeant Bay led her squad through the ruins of what used to be a beautiful Cathara neighborhood. The buildings were broken and burned, but her motion sensors showed life signs hiding in the basements. Contact, front and right, called out Private Kim, raising his rifle toward a group of Devourer drones moving between the broken buildings. Take them down, Bay ordered. Her squad opened fire, with perfect coordination. The Devourer drones tried to adapt to the human weapons, but they fell before they could change their defenses. Bay's team moved quickly to a basement entrance, where her sensors had detected Cathara civilians. She knocked gently on the door. "Hello," she called in the Kithara language that the computers had taught her. "We are humans. We came to help you. You are safe now." The door opened slowly, and a family of cat-like Cathara peered out fearfully. When they saw Bay's kind smile, the youngest Cathara Kit ran forward and hugged her leg. "It's okay," Bay said, softly, patting the little alien's head. "The bad creatures can't hurt you anymore. We're here now." High above the planet, Commander Shin directed the space battle from his destroyer. The Devourer ships were trying to surround the human fleet, but they kept making the same mistake. They expected the humans to defend themselves instead of attacking. "All ships, execute pattern, Delta 7, Shin commanded. Instead of staying in defensive positions, the human ships suddenly spread out and attacked the Devourer fleet from 6 different directions at once. The Devourer hive mind struggled to understand this new fighting style. Every race they had conquered before fought to protect their ships and avoid losses, but humans fought like they were willing to lose ships if it meant winning the battle. On the planet's surface, the battle was turning in favor of the humans. Captain Lim's forces had established secure areas around the Cathara city, and more drop pods were landing every minute. The Devourers kept trying to adapt to human tactics, but humans adapted faster. "Sir," reported Lieutenant Park over the radio, "we've cleared Sector 7. The Devourers are pulling their forces back toward their command center." "Good," Lim replied. "Keep pushing forward. Don't give them time to reorganize." In the Cathara command bunker, Elder Valandra watched in amazement as the tide of battle turned. For 3 years, her people had been slowly losing ground to the Devourers. Now, in just one day, the humans were pushing the enemy back across the entire continent. "How are they so good at fighting?" asked Morden. "I think," Valandra said slowly, "they have been fighting wars much longer than we have. But more than that, look how angry they get when they see what the Devourers did to our children and families. They fight like they are protecting their own people." By the end of the day, the massive Devourer queenship that had been hanging over Valethera like a dark cloud was burning and falling toward the planet's surface. Commander Shin's fleet had torn it apart piece by piece. Queenship destroyed, Shin reported to Admiral Yoon. Remaining Devourer forces are scattering. Some are trying to escape into deep space. "Let them run," Yoon replied. "But send fast ships to follow them. We need to know where their other bases are. This isn't over until every Devourer in this part of the galaxy is gone." On the surface, Captain Lim stood with Elder Valandra on top of the city walls, watching the last Devourer creatures flee into the wilderness. "Is it really over?" Valandra asked. "The battle for your city is over," Lim said. "But humans don't just win battles and leave. We're going to help you rebuild everything they destroyed." 6 months after the Great Battle, Valethara looked like a completely different world. Where once there had been smoking ruins and burned forests, now there were new buildings rising toward the sky and green plants growing in carefully tended gardens. The sound of construction machines mixed with the laughter of Cathara children playing in rebuilt parks. Engineer Park J stood with his Cathara partner, architect Thelera, looking at the plans for the new capital city they were designing. Together, the buildings would be a beautiful mix of human strength and Cathara elegance. Tall towers that could resist attacks, but covered in the flowing curves and crystal windows that the cat people loved. The children's school will go here, said, pointing to a spot near a lake, and the hospital there, close enough to help quickly, but far enough away to be peaceful. Park smiled. My daughter would love to see these schools. On Earth, our schools are just square boxes. These look like art. In the new science center, Dr. Han worked alongside Cathara scientist Velmori on a project that excited both their species. They were combining human medical knowledge with Cathara healing abilities to create treatments that could help both races live longer, healthier lives. Look at this, Velmori said, showing Han a plant that glowed softly blue. This flower from our homeworld can heal wounds twice as fast as your human medicines. But watch what happens when we add your synthetic proteins to it. The flower's glow became brighter and changed to a warm gold color. Amazing, Han whispered. It's like the plant became 10 times more powerful. We could help so many people with this. Not far from the science center, teacher Song Min sat in a circle with a group of young Cathara, teaching them to read human writing while they taught her to understand their musical language. The Cathara children had been scared and sad when the humans first arrived, but now they giggled and played, just like children everywhere. Miss Song asked a small Cathara kit named Pintel, will you and the other humans stay here forever? Song's heart felt warm. Some of us will stay as long as you want us to. And even if we go back to Earth, we'll always be friends. Humans don't forget the people we care about. Meanwhile, in space above the planet, Admiral Yoon received reports from the hunting fleets that had been chasing the remaining devourers across 3 star systems. Intelligence Officer Lee stood beside her, pointing to a star map that showed the progress of the cleanup mission. The last devourer breeding station was destroyed yesterday, Lee reported. Captain Jung's fleet found it hiding in an asteroid field near the Kepler system. The devourers are completely gone from this part of the galaxy now. Any sign of survivors trying to regroup? Yoon asked. No, Admiral. The few that escaped are scattered and running in different directions. Without their queenships and breeding centers, they can't grow their numbers or coordinate attacks. They're no longer a threat to anyone. Yoon nodded with satisfaction. When humans decided to protect someone, they didn't do it halfway. They made sure the danger was completely eliminated. Back on the planet's surface, Farmer Choi Day walked through fields of new crops with Elder Valendra. The soil had been poisoned by the devourers, but human science and Cathara plant magic, working together, had brought it back to life. These earth vegetables will grow well in your climate, Choi explained, showing Valandra a field of tomatoes and corn, and your native grains taste better than anything we grow on Earth. If we plant them together, both crops grow stronger. Valandra picked a ripe tomato and tasted it. Delicious, she said. Our children will never go hungry again, thanks to your kindness. In the rebuilt communications center, Officer Park received a new signal from deep space. She ran excitedly to find Commander Kim, who was now in charge of the permanent human base on Vale Thera. Sir, we're getting another distress call, Park reported. This one is from the Rigel system. A race called the Selenites says they're being attacked by something called the Metal Swarm. Kim looked at the signal data. How far away are they? 31 light years. The signal is weak, but clear. They're definitely asking for help. Kim smiled. Word was spreading across the galaxy about the humans, the strange species that answered calls for help with massive rescue fleets. Other peaceful races were learning that, when monsters came to destroy their worlds, They could whisper into the darkness, and humans would hear them. Send a message to Earth Defense Command, Kim ordered. Tell them we have another rescue mission. And contact the Cathera government, ask if they want to send ships with us. They know what it's like to be saved, so maybe they'd like to help save others. Within hours, the response came back from both Earth and the Cathera leadership. Earth was already preparing another fleet, and the Cathara were volunteering their fastest ships and best warriors to join the mission. That evening, as Vale Thara's twin moons rose over the rebuilt cities, Admiral Yoon stood on her ship's observation deck with Elder Valandra, watching the lights of the thriving world below. Your people have changed the galaxy, Valandra said quietly. Before you came, each race fought alone against the darkness. Now we know that someone is always listening, always ready to help. Yoon looked up at the stars, knowing that somewhere, out there, the Selenites were hiding in fear while monsters attacked their world. Soon, they would learn what the Cathara had learned, that humanity had made itself the guardian of the innocent, the species that turned whispers for help into storms of salvation. The universe was no longer a cold, empty place where good people died alone.